Hi there, YouTube. Welcome to the Stratosphere Studio. It's a Tuesday night edition. And let me see if I can just fix this a little bit close here. Hang on a sec, sorry. Hope everybody's doing well. Um, I have been, yeah, vision's getting a little sus. Hang on a second. I've been up pretty much, well, I wasn't up all night. I was up till 3 or 4, I guess, something like that. Here at the studio, working on the script. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. It's spec script for like a defense think tank kind of thing. Um, and and it was real short notice, and it turned out really well. I was really happy with it. I'll tell you what, uh, it's it's got to be a scary world out there, and I'm really glad that that we've got some sharp cookies on our team that are out there doing the Lord's work. Just trying to get my windows arranged here. Um, my eye is not good, to be honest with you. It's still a little sore, and and I guess I'm gonna go probably go to the ophthalmologist tomorrow. Um, so no, I haven't changed anything. Um, I can boost this a little bit, I guess. Uh, so we gonna try and make it a short one tonight because yeah, I'm not really at a even close to 100% tonight. Um, it was a strange thing because I got the call to get it done um, at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and had to get it done before I got out of there. And so I was here for a while anyway. Um, and I'm just cooked, to be honest with you. One of the things that's cooking me so much is the just it's just the never-ending story. Uh, we went to ask people to go and sign up at the to check out the new plugin, and we saw probably 6 or 7 names show up. Thank you guys, and and we went to Recurly, which is our online bank, and there were green dot next to where I signed up, and black dots next to the other 8 or 9 people that signed up, which meant that for some reason or another, it didn't get the membership information. So, you know, it's just, it just, it just, it's just soul destroying. Is what it is. I don't know what else to call it. Oh, that's one of the reasons why this thing looks so different. Let me put a little contrast in here. That's a little better. Um, so, talk to the developer who's working on it, and of course, like whenever you've got a problem with a car and you take it into the dealer, um, or to the mechanic, the squeak just doesn't squeak. So he said he's not able to tell what the problem is. The people at Recurly can't tell what the problem is. So the person who's got the problem is yours truly. We can try it again. I'd like to try it again if you're one of those people. It's just embarrassing, is what it is, and I've already set up enough. I've already set up so many test accounts that I can't set up any more Gmail accounts. So I'll just put the link in there, and if you're so inclined, yeah, that's a powerful sell, huh? If you're so inclined, but the truth of it is, we got to get this thing going, man. It just never ends. Um, so let me go ahead and put the membership link there, and if you want to become a member, that'd be great. If you want to just become a member, test it, and then cancel your membership, that's fine with us too. Um, we've got to we've got to get this thing solved. So I'll put these comments, put the thing in here, and then I can, we get this thing actually done. Um, then I can actually get a little excited about um, promoting this thing. So there's that. Anyway, there it is. If you have a chance to help us test it out, that'd be great. We'd really appreciate it. Um, this should not be so tough. This is WordPress. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of websites that do this, but I don't know, man. I don't know what it is, but here we are. So it's not sweetening my tired mood today. I'm sorry to say. I'm just looking forward to getting home and getting some sleep. Uh, but we'll do the questions first. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's very maddening, Gerald. It's heartbreaking, is what it is. It's just. I mean, I've been working on this problem for a year now, and there you go. Um, so let's at least not disappoint the people who, because I've had to short the questions a couple times, so we'll just dive right in there. Hey, there's Joseph J. Cosenza, the third, I think, with the super chat. It's been a while since I've done a super chat, so here, what's your favorite defunct airline, and why is your favorite airline that still exists? Well, it's quite interesting question, different. It's absolute no-brainer, no question whatsoever. It's piece of cake. My favorite defunct airline is Pan Am, and my favorite airline that still exists is apparently Pan Am. They're back. But man, I loved Pan Am. I just absolutely adored it. My first airplane ride was on a Pan Am 707 flag carrier. Uh, the Pan Am blue is I don't know if it's officially a color, but I sure do know that blue. When we were in school in Bermuda, when I was in school in Bermuda, and when everybody was in school in Bermuda, we had these bags, and had this just had a Pan Am blue bag. Um, Sycopollen says my favorite meme is a couple sitting in front of a three-course meal in 1960 on TWA, then a tiny packet of peanuts in 2025. Yeah, you don't even get peanuts anymore because of allergies. You get pretzels now. Um, I just adored Pan Am, and I loved I um, clearly remember sitting down to hot meals, hot meals with cloth napkins, and the first time I ever saw a spork was on an airline, and I thought that was actually pretty amazing. I really, I don't know, it was the early '60s, early to mid '60s, and just things were just new and cool. Sporks were cool, and the trays at first TV dinners. Remember, well, still don't hear them called TV dinners too much anymore, but where everything's got its own little compartment, I thought that was just the bomb, man. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So always a Pan Am fan. Never liked TWA for some reason, probably just because I like blue so much and red's not my favorite color. Um, but yeah, Pan Am in a heartbeat. Just elegant airplane, and the Pan Am 707 was great. They had that series that came out, was it 6 years ago now, something like that. Lasted for half a season. Christina Ricci, I think, in it. Um, my mom flew for BOAC, British Overseas Airways Corporation, and both of those airlines have really cool call signs. Pan Am was Clipper, so Pan Am Flight 93 be Clipper 93, and BOAC, which became British Airways, is Speedbird. So that's pretty cool. Speedbird 317. It's neat. think Southwest is Cactus. I'm not sure about that. 707 is a beautiful airplane, and that tail spike. That's it, man. Never been another airplane before since it has this huge spike, pitot tube spike on the tail of a 707. Narrow body, old style engines, long, thin, uh, full, turbojets, not turbofans. So they were great. I guess my favorite, I'll tell you my favorite experience on an airline by far was Virgin America. Virgin America, I flew that to Florida several times, did the red eye several times on Virgin America. And walking onto Virgin America was like walking onto a nightclub. I mean, the interior was like purple lights, white plastic, and I've talked many, many times about the safety dance, their safety announcement, which is just one of the best things I've ever seen, ever. And order food from your seat. You don't have to wait for the food cart. And Virgin America was just absolutely fantastic for about 4 or 5 years. Then I got on it and I noticed that it had gone way downhill, and that found out that it had been bought by Alaska, I think. But in its prime, they were just playing just really cool jazz. It was a fantastic experience. It was great. Um, P7 2017 says, wasn't the 727 the three-engine bird? It was, and it was. I love the 727. I think the 727 is my favorite jetliner. I just thought it just looked so cool with the engines in the back, and they were very, very popular for a while because they're a short field airplane. They could get into considerably smaller fields than the 707s, and 727 was just fantastic. Sweep on the wings on that airplane. It's just a gorgeous airplane. And I always liked the Boeings much better than the. Well, first of all, I always liked them better than the Airbuses, but Airbus didn't exist back then. I always liked the Boeings better than the Douglases. I thought the DC-8 was just a 707 that had been made by apes, and same thing for the DC-9 and the 727. So DC-9 was a two-engine jet, and the 727 was three, and so Boeing bought McDonnell Douglas, so the DC-8 became the the DC-9 became the MD-80, then it became the MD-88, then it became the Boeing 717, and never particularly liked that airplane. Paul is asking, how do I feel about the Epstein debacle? Let me have a look at the questions and see if it's any of those, and then I'll just give you a brief bit about it. I don't want to spend too much time on it right now, only because I'm just so tired of getting my, the whole thing is just a giant goat rodeo, and really, just really heartbreaking. So let me see what we got on a forum here. Yep, walking out on the tarmac and then up the stairs on the airplane. Yep, absolutely, it was great. And there was no I think I'll save Epstein maybe for Thursday. And there was no TSA, no security checks, none of that. You could you could drive to the airport, you could walk into the airport, you could sit at the gate and wait for your plane to arrive. That's what people usually did, just kind of went in there and just sat down and sat at the gate and wait for the plane to pull up. It was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So just checking to see what we got here. Thank you, Marusha, for curating these questions here. Okay. Got an Eric Blake. We've got an Eduardo Enrique. These are long. Marusha Dark, very brief. Another Marusha Dark. Too hot for airy to gmail.com. That's a new one. Two of those, capital G Geek, Roadrunner, Road Rider, good Lord, Jazer McFarlane, no way, and a Bob Neef. I guess what we'll do is, oh, okay. Two Out for Aries says he's going to bump his question to Thursday, so that's very kind of you. Thank you, I appreciate that. All right, let's see what we can do. Eric Blake, tonight the case of the missing masterpiece. Bill, I believe I speak for the rest of us when I say it'd be a great benefit to yourself, your fan base, to Americans young and old, and to internet denizens at large if you were to finally bite the bullet and make your own in-depth special production company completely dismantling the moon landing hoax nonsense. I agree. Yeah, I'll just do the definitive moon landing hoax one. You tried one with Jimmy Falia. Yeah, I was very disappointed with that. We're disappointed at the tongue-in-cheek result, and your Apollo What We Saw series, which only briefly addresses the hoaxers a few times, is beyond the Daily Wire paywall. Meanwhile, you've recited in your depth rebuttals to these streams often enough. You could write this special in your sleep, and no one's going to be inclined or capable of scouring previous TSS or TSL episodes to find out what they're looking for on their own. Call it the ultimate firewall if you like, but I guarantee you it will be one of the most watched videos in the history of your channel, endlessly shared throughout social media. The world needs a systematic destruction of that anti-Apollo nonsense the way only you can provide, so how soon can you get cooking? I agree. It's getting really bad. You know that what I think is one of the best arguments for why this was not faked is an argument that I only realized like a year or two ago. It came to me so late, and when it finally hit me, I was just thunderstruck. I actually think it's probably the single best argument against it being a hoax. Anybody want to take a guess? Because I was, when I saw it, man, I was just like, God, I cannot believe I did not see this earlier. I can't believe I could have been that obtuse. So they claim that this was all done on a soundstage, and I've got the whole thing with a vacuum chamber and the dust and all the rest of that stuff, right? All of that jazz. And I got the stats on the Van Allen belt, on how much of a dose they took, all of it. But do you know what the single greatest thing is? If people saying like, oh well, Stanley Kubrick did it, and look at 2001: A Space Odyssey. Plenty to talk about there, and I'll get into that. But if you remember 2001: A Space Odyssey, if you don't, you can see Dave Bowman right here. You'll notice that Dave Bowman is wearing a helmet with a clear plexiglass visor. And that's what everybody expected. But the Apollo astronauts didn't have a clear plexiglass visors. They had mirrored visors, wide-angle mirrored visors. And so at any given time, that wide-angle fisheye lens mirror should be reflecting the film crew. Right? That mirrored finish, which nobody was expecting. If it turns out that they faked the footage and they didn't have the mirrors, nobody was like, wait a minute, why don't they have mirrors? No, they've got literally golden visors to reflect the bright light from the moon's surface. It's bright light, daylight, and the sun's up there, and there's no sky to cut it. And so both astronauts are walking around with fisheye mirrors, the kind of things you put at an intersection to see if there's oncoming traffic. So where are all the lights? Where's all the crew? Where's everything? Where is it? When they're looking at the camera, where's the crew? When you look at the astronauts looking at each other, in fact, the famous picture of Buzz Aldrin is clear that Neil Armstrong is in the picture, because Neil Armstrong can be seen in the visor reflection of Buzz's helmet taking the picture. So why would you put mirrors on people if you're going to fake this thing? How far away do the lights have to be? How far away does the crew have to be? How far away does the camera have to be? The bloody mirrors go to the horizon in all directions. Why would you do that? And where is the soundstage? Where is this stuff? Where is it? It's to me. I don't think you need anything else. Honestly, I really just don't think you need anything beyond that. To me, that is just absolutely the death blow to the argument. Where is the crew? Where are they? Because you always see the picture of there's the LEM, and then there's like like a painted backdrop or something, and then there's the rocks, and then there's the astronauts. Here's the film crew, and here's the lights. Well, where's the lights? Why aren't we seeing the hot spots from the lights? I really can't. I can't believe. Dave Big Booty, this is a good point to make. When I make it, it says, in The Martian, all the visors were CGI so that they wouldn't reflect the crew. So, there you go. Just insane. Insane. And you know what? I'll tell you something, Eric. It's like, I talked about this on the backstage show, which we did earlier today. 20 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, I started to see some of the sea rock, yeah. The sea rock, the rock that's got the C on it, which is it's not a C with, serif characters. It's not a Times Roman C. It's not a Helvetica C. It's kind of a curved shape. It's incredible that you never see You know what would have impressed me if it hadn't been a C, if it had been an R or something like that. But it's called the Sea Rock. And I think you can just take away the dash and just call it the Croc, because that's what it is. It's just absolutely nuts. But what I was saying is 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, when I started to see this moon landing denial, because nobody at the time denied it. There was no such thing as a moon landing conspiracy hoax until the internet, and probably be fun to, I actually should find out when the first, because the people that lived through it hadn't not the faintest doubt about it, none. But to be honest with you, it's almost like we're now reaching the number of people who believe that the Earth is flat is starting to approach the number of people that believe that the moon landing is fake. And I bet you there's a lot of crossover on that particular Venn diagram. We are, it's the instupiding of America. That's what I called it, I think, on the backstage show. The instupiding of America. And as you know, a noble spirit in Biggins' the smallest man. Roadrunner with a super chat over there. Let's see, we got here's Bill. I was able to successfully register a second account. It took my credit card info, and I was able to log in right away. Hope this helps. Thank you, Roadrunner. We'll look for that tomorrow. If we got a green dot next to it, fantastic. If not, we've still got a problem, but we'll be looking for that. And then once we find it one way or another, we will cancel that for you and refund your money, and be very grateful to do so. Yeah, One Rock has they oops. My favorite is when they say they forgot to put the stars in. Yeah, they just forgot. They forgot. The fact that there's no stars in the sky is compelling evidence that it wasn't faked, because everybody's expecting to see stars. We forgot to put the stars in. I hope nobody notices. It's just nuts. It's nuts. One of the things I'll do, there's an Unreal Engine project for the moon landing, and what I can do with that, and which is cool about that, is you see the moon landing. It's Unreal Engine, and then what you can do with Unreal Engine is you can take the camera and you can turn up the exposure. So I'll just put some stars up there, and then you'll see that the sky is black, and I'll keep turning up the exposure, and then finally you'll get to see the stars, but everything else will be completely whited out. So, yeah, it's a great idea, Eric. It's past time. It's just past time. I'm just sick of it, man. And yeah, and I was prepared for that show, you know. Well, how did they get through the Van Allen belts? It's impossible that they could have gotten through the radiation of the Van Allen belts. Really? How much radiation would they have taken if they'd gone through the Van Allen belts? Well, I don't know. Well, you said it's a fatal dose, so how much is a fatal dose? Do you know what we measure radiation doses in? What's a rad? What's a Roentgen? What's a sievert? You know, but well, I don't know any of those things, but I know it was fatal. Okay. Okay. Bill Kaysing is widely recognized as a key figure in popularizing moon landing conspiracy theories. His 1976 self-published book, We Never Went to the Moon, America's $30 billion Swindle. Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay. So, it's like the flat earth thing. It's a way for idiots to feel like they're smarter than everybody else. It's just, you just might as well, you know, it just is so, it's so bloody crazy. It's just so crazy. I really don't know what to say. It seems to me that if the Earth were flat, you could take a telescope and see France from here and everything between. But it doesn't work that way. And ships disappear over the horizon. They've got some special theory for that too, you know. Everything about them is just plain bonkers. And I hate them. I really hate them. I hate them in the same way that I hate looters and other criminals. You know, they've been given this tremendous gift of being born in a time of scientific literacy and hard won, I might add, and they're just plain proud of how stupid they are. Just crazy. Just barking mad nuts. That's a little bit. Richard Dark says, one of my teachers turned into a die-hard flat earther. Was very sad watching his downfall and his frothing anger over it too. Well, I mean, you don't even have to be able to go into space to be able to tell that the Earth isn't flat just from an airplane ride. You know, I really, I don't know. I know you have to be deeply mentally ill if you're a teacher, for example, and you become a flat earther. You're not taking that position out of overwhelming evidence. You're taking that position out of a really, really deep emotional need, and a great deal of psychological imbalance. The moon landing thing is less obvious, but yeah, and this is it, man. This really is it. Chuck Finelli says, I think see the rise of these types of conspiracies because people today cannot imagine people 60 years ago accomplishing something greater than anything they can do. Right, that's exactly right. Young people have been told they're the smartest generation ever. They're not. They're the dumbest generation ever. And it's not their fault, but they are. Hang on a second. So, it's just, yeah. Yeah, and that's part of it. Whoa, what's happening here? Oh my God, that's. Please tell me that's the camera and not my. Yep, back again. Um, uh, and part of it is, as Sickapolin says, is those old white men couldn't do jack. There is a rapidly growing narrative that white people didn't build anything in America. That slaves built all of it. Slaves and Mexicans, and uh, and this is rapidly gaining traction. And I just want to prove that one out experimentally, but you know, slaves built the southern plantation economy, which was utterly destroyed during the Civil War. And since that time, they have contributed to the labor force in proportion to their numbers in the general population. So there you go. Chaos Forever says, "Hey Bill, can't stay long tonight. If you get my question, if possible, it's third on the forum. Your wish is my command." We'll come back to you, Eduardo. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. The forum is. What's the name used in the forum there, Chaos? Because I don't see anything by that name. I don't think I see Enrique. I mean, sorry, Eduardo. Um, let's see. I'm just trying to be provide top quality customer service here. Eduardo. Okay, here we go. Looks like it's second. Eduardo Enrique. Greetings, Bill. Long time no post. Still never miss a show. That's good to hear. Thank you very much. I bring news from the gaming world. We're at war in Europe. How original. A citizens' initiative on www.stopkillinggames.com crossed 1.3 million signatures on EU to go against the latest despicable trend of own nothing and be happy that has been plaguing the world of games and more for a few years now. Yeah, you used to own games, you used to be able to own tunes. You could download something on iTunes before it became music, and it was yours, and you had it there. Now you just rent everything. And the same thing is for Netflix and Amazon Prime, by the way. You know, you just they're gone. It's just gone. You just keep paying them, and they'll feed you your food pellets. Um, Many games have been simply destroyed or made unplayable remotely by publishers at leisure, mostly to make gamers stop playing or selling their old games and buy the new expensive stuff. Nintendo has gone as far as remotely disabling their newest gaming consoles, Switch 2, of players that played, borrowed, or used games and wasting taxpayers' money calling the FBI to assist. I brought this topic to you before when the initiative was small, stating how I felt conflicted in needing regulation to stop this World Economic Forum mentality that big businesses have embraced, but now that the initiative is growing, there's a massive lobbying against it, both by industry shills like YouTube or Pirate Software and lawyers on the EU. I hope we can win this, or else it's a matter of time before even cars come with a remote disabled by the manufacturers if they haven't already. Yeah, I'm with you, man. Knowing how big this industry is and how important of a cultural battlefield it is for the youth, do you believe it is a worthy cause enough to warrant political interference, which usually we are staunchly against, even from a view of simply art preservation, given how many movies and TVs were lost to time by deliberate destruction of the films? That's hard to believe, man. I think this is worth defending so games don't get erased from history as many currently are. I'm aware your expertise lies elsewhere, but I still regard your opinion on this matter as important. Best of luck in your endeavors, and my very best regards. Hope Story Mechanics in the Colonies gets traction soon. Thank you. And if I need more info, there's a link. Yeah, the this model is everywhere now. In some limited cases, I kind of like the monthly model. For example, I've got Adobe Creative Cloud, and I pay a monthly fee, and I get Premiere, Photoshop, Audition, After Effects, and whatever else I need. For me, that's better than buying Photoshop for $300, and then whatever updates you get. Plus, with the subscription model, you get you constantly get updates. When I started doing 3D animation, 3D Studio cost, I want to say it was like $900 or something back in 1992, 93. And it's just out of reach. So there are times when it's okay, but ownership is rapidly disappearing, especially electronic ownership. There was a golden age of gaming that preceded. I'm relatively positive it preceded when you started playing, but I seem to remember that back in the day, way back in the day, there were just so many different games that you could play. For example, the golden age of experimental aviation is way past us now. I mean, you used to be able to go to Sun and Fun in Oshkosh and just see, 25 new aircraft sitting there that were actually flying and flew in. Now it's just not. Chaos Fervor says, by the way, Bill, my UK counterpart Sargon endorsed this movement, and this made me really happy. I had not listened to Sargon at all until about 2 months ago, and I started listening to his stuff. Yeah, and he's really good. I just hadn't had a chance. But these games were just tremendous, and one of the reasons they were so tremendous was because they didn't cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make. Hundreds of millions of dollars to make. They were just much simpler. Games have gotten a lot more complex. The game engines got more complex. The graphics are incredible. The rendering's incredible. All of that, and there are a few games where you can see where the money went. I'm not a huge fan of Grand Theft Auto, but you can see where the money went in GTA 5, and you can certainly see where the money went in Red Dead Redemption 2. Star Citizen is over 700 million now, I think, isn't it? Isn't it over 700 million? They finally got their first new solar system. They got the Pyro system now. They're supposed to have 100 solar systems by 2014 or something. They've got 2 now, and they're still limited, I think, to 50 players per server. So I haven't played Star Citizen since 2017 or 18. It's hard to believe. I played it a lot, and Star Citizen was amazing, but the universe was dead. One of the planets they had there was it ArcCorp? It was like a Blade Runner. It was like the entire planet is a city, right? So it's just nothing. The whole planet is paved. It's just one gigantic city, and you're walking around in this game world, and there's nobody there. There's no one. There's just NPCs that are standing there, or they're standing on benches and they're just doing nothing. And all of a sudden you see one guy go running, just running, and he's going for the tram or something. And it's like, okay, so there's a player. But the mod that they added to Cyberpunk that is so bloody realistic looking on hard surface models like cars and buildings, it looks photoreal to me. But at least Cyberpunk had, NPCs and characters that did things, but they don't. I mean, the game was just the release of that was just legendarily buggy. So this is the problem. These games are so expensive that a lot of developers or a lot of companies they do the pre-release. We're going to do a limited access pre-release, and so instead of actually debuting the game, they roll out this kind of buggy thing that's enough to take people's curiosity away, but turns off a lot of it. The industry's just messed up. It'll be interesting to see what AI does for this. I like to think that if AI makes significant dent, a big dent, and I think it will make a big dent in the next 5 years or so. Um, then what we'll probably see is the democratization of video games again, where uh, you don't have to have $700 million to make the next game. What's the cost on GTA 6 now? It's billions, isn't it? Is it approaching 2 billion or something for Grand Theft Auto 6? Um, Somebody did the calculations, said millions and millions of people have died waiting for GTA 6. There was a period when I was watching a lot of the GTA 5 fail videos. And for about a week there, I was just laughing my butt off. I used to just 100 biggest, GTA 5 fails. It just really made me laugh. But once you get it, it gets old a little quick. Um, so my video games growing up was I was an arcade guy. I miss arcades. I really miss walking into a video game arcade. I miss the sound of it. I miss the smell of it, and going to the quarter machine, and standing in line and putting your quarters on the console. You just kind of put your quarters there to mark off who's got it next. Um, I loved. I think probably my favorite arcade game was Missile Command, uh, and I loved Joust. I thought Joust was a great game, and was it Battlezone, that vector tank game? But it was just a fun experience. And you couldn't play it for hours and hours and hours because you just couldn't afford it. I mean, you're just pumping quarters into this thing. And I was a student in college. Um, when I was in high school, they had a place in Miami called the Machine Shop, and when I got to University of Florida in Gainesville, they had a place called Pin Pan Alley. And you're a student, and and you could only afford to play some. Sneak Chuck says arcades are having a comeback. It was the great thing about an arcade was it was actually kind of a social experience. Like Machine Shop had air hockey and a bunch of arcade games, but they had a snack bar and you could get a roast beef sandwich there. You sit around with your buddies. You spend 3 hours there and you spend $8 or something like that, and it was fun, man. Um, there was we went to because my dad was a hotel manager. We went to Disney World. Um, I think it might have been before it opened to the public. That seems like it was right. We stayed at the Contemporary. This was 1972, and the Contemporary has a monorail that goes right through the middle of it. And I'm, future guy, space guy, and stuff. And I just sat there. It's a hollow hotel, and all these interior terraces looking down on the monorails, just going like that. So I just sat there looking down at those things. And somewhere in there, I don't know if it was a second trip or something, they had a huge arcade, like underneath the monorail station, and I was so blown away by that I still have dreams about it. It's like I just opened this door and here's like this magic video game arcade. That was really really cool. Yeah, and Galaga, played a lot of Galaga. I was never really really good at it. Some people were just amazing at it. Uh, I remember the spread on Missile Command. I just remember the trackball and the just putting them up there. Am I a fan of Alien? If you the movie, um, Alien. My favorite movie of all time is Aliens. Alien is is one of the greatest films ever made. Alien is an unbelievably amazingly good sci-fi movie. Space Invaders, yeah, I remember the first time I saw Space Invaders. I was at Leonardo's Pizza in Gainesville, Florida, and they had it on a console on a little desk thing, and I sat there. I was eating a slice of deep dish pizza, and there were Space Invaders, and I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. So it was fun back in the day. Um, yeah. Okay, make sure I didn't miss anything. No, it's got that. Got that. Marusha Dark. Um, Something old, something new. Hey, Bill, just attended my sister's wedding this past weekend. Was wondering if you have any stories you'd like to share from yours and Natasha's wedding or honeymoon. I probably do, but not tonight. That's my honest answer. Um, uh, so we got married like right over there, just like I don't know, 8 feet away from me or something. Jeremy Boring performed the ceremony. He's a pastor, so uh, it was uh, it was a real small affair, and I still owe her a big wedding. So yeah, I think that's something I'll save for another day. Uh, Marusha Dark again. Something borrowed, something blue. You're spoken fondly of Superman. Tim Pool went and saw the new movie, gave it an 8 out of 10 after initially being worried about it. I'm going to go see it Thursday night. Oh, by the way, Stratosphere Lounge this week will move till Friday because Thursday night I'm going to go see Superman. Jeremy is coming to town and a couple of other of the old crews, so we'll go take a look. Said the movie was fantastic with only a few minor nitpicks. Will you consider going and seeing it yourself? Yes, I will. Um, you often defer to drinker and neurotic, but in my opinion, by not seeing stuff yourself, you're getting scared info secondhand and passing it on to us who get it third hand, allowing your opinions and ours to be filtered through their biases and preferences, which might ultimately be different. I don't follow the opinions of those guys blindly. I, to the degree that you'll hear me agreeing with them, it's entirely because of the trailer or because of clips that I've seen. But it's a fair enough point, Fair enough point, I guess. For that matter, when was the last time you ever went to the movies? It's been a long time. I can't remember the last movie I saw in a movie theater. COVID killed movies. It just killed going to the movies. Um, what did I see last? Nosferatu. I saw Nosferatu in a theater, and I loved Nosferatu. I thought it was great. I really, really, really enjoyed it. Robert Eggers is my favorite film maker now. I didn't particularly like The Northman much. I mean, it was just forgettable. It just seemed like an episode of Vikings. But The Witch, Nosferatu, and especially The Lighthouse. The Lighthouse is unbelievable. Has Natasha seen the 1978 Superman? I don't know that she has, but that's a really excellent question because we need to see that before we go and see this. That movie will never be surpassed. It's like Lord of the Rings. You're never going to do better than that. And the reason you'll never do better than the 1978 Superman is because we will never live in a time that was that innocent again. You can't take the innocence away from Superman. You can't do a dark Superman. And I know there are people out there. Look, they're comic people. I'm not a comic person. I've never been a comic person. But to me, uh, it is a contradiction to do a dark Superman. Um, we were talking about this on the backstage show, I think. Scott or Steve, I forget which, said that one of the qualities about Superman is that he's unflappable. And if he wasn't unflappable, then Lex Luthor is right. He has to be destroyed because he's a threat to humanity. But that's the whole point of Superman. Superman's constrained by his own decency. The world is safe not because of Clark Kent, but because of Jonathan Kent. Um, and that speech in the original, where teenage Clark is bummed out because all the kids are making fun of him and the cheerleaders, and he's the water boy on the football team, and he races the train on the way home, and he's just so bummed out because he doesn't get to perform, and Glenn freaking Ford walks down there, puts his arm around his son, they're walking the driveway back up to the house, And he says, I know it's frustrating for you, Clark. You could score all the touchdowns you wanted to. You could be the biggest athletic star in the country. And he says, but that's not why you're here. Um, uh, that's not why you're here. God didn't put you here to score touchdowns, something like that. I thought, man, that's just great. And then and Clark gets it right, and you see that Michael Harvey says I played Elite on my Commodore 64 for hours. I played Elite on my Apple IIe, and I don't think I've ever had more fun than that. That was great fun. Elite was amazing. It was an amazing game. What they did with 64K of RAM, absolutely incredible game. Loved it. But yeah, so Superman is, uh, you know, he's got to be sweet. He's got to be a sweet guy, and you know, I just don't think we'll ever see any. I don't think we'll see ever anybody do what Christopher Reeve did, because Christopher Reeve captured that fundamental dichotomy. Um, he's just a really nice God, and I don't know how you're going to beat that. Yeah, somebody asked about Supergirl. I have a very special place in my heart for Helen Slater and Supergirl. I just thought Helen Slater was just the absolute bomb. I just adored her. Really adored her, and Ruthless People she was in. She was. I just had such a crush on her. Frickin' Dave Zucker, who made the Airplane movies. I was at dinner with him, and somehow that subject came up, and he said he dated Helen Slater, and I nearly fell down. I just nearly fell down. Secret of my success. That's right. It wasn't Ruthless People, was it? Anyway, she was fantastic. Um, anyway, uh, must have been the secret of my success. She was in Ruthless People. Yeah. Uh, Roxanne says, now I know you're going to be disappointed because all that is missing. This is alt Superman. We'll see. You know, I did. I don't particularly like the casting. I mean, the guy doesn't. He just looks a little. Um, I don't know. Just looks like too much of a mutt. But but I did like the trailer where he goes out and saves that girl from the explosion. That's Superman. That was cool. So there you go. Uh, Too hot for Ari to gmail.com says push a question till Thursday, so I will do that. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Uh, Trying to get out of here and get some food and that kind of thing. So thanks very much for that, and I will definitely get you to Thursday. Thank you for bumping it. I appreciate it. Capital G Geek, greetings from the swamps of Northern Virginia. Zero Hedge thinks that now is the time for conservative creators to fill the entertainment void left by the woke infestation. Here's a link. I've seen increasing pushback against pretty much anything leftist, and it's not slowing down. Gavin Newsom's Donors Pot Farm employing both child labor and convicted pedophiles is just a recent example. Will we ever get back to the point where we could have movies like Blazing Saddles or Tropic Thunder again? Yes. Now, this is a little controversial, but nevertheless, here it is. I have seen some AI videos made with VO3, which is the one where you can type in text and it generates all those man in the street things and the Yeti things, all these things that have sprung up. A lot of it is brain rot, but some of it's okay. And some of those are so politically incorrect that there's no way you could get away with saying those things on camera. But you can get away with having AI characters say those things on camera. So it's a again, it's a democratization of the process. So look, I've been seriously dealing with the AI video for about 2 months now, and in the 2 months that I've been doing it, I've seen three breakthroughs that I thought were going to take 6 months, and I've seen them in 6 weeks. Um, so uh, it's we're a year away from really genuinely having two at the most a desktop movie studio that is creating stuff that is indistinguishable from film. Indistinguishable. It's not like, gee, those graphics really look good. It's like, I can't tell. Because on some level, AI video is actual video. It's not vertices in 3D space that have had a texture applied to them that are trying to reproduce the way that light scatters on subsurface scattering on human skin. It's just averaging millions or billions of images of humans, and it is essentially cutting and pasting real video. So so we're real close. I was so deep into it for a month. I've slowed down on it a little bit only because I've reached kind of the limit of what I can do with it at the moment. But and it's frustrating trying to just say, look, move the camera to the left. I said to the left. What do I have to do? And like, move camera to the left, and moves it to the right. But all of the stuff's just getting better and better and better. I did a lot of this first Mike Rowe show, and saved them a ton of money from image houses because we didn't have to rent. I mean, we didn't have to buy video of blue whales. We didn't have to buy video of bald eagles. We didn't have to buy any of it. I just rendered bald eagles in Midjourney and then animated them, and we saved probably $10,000 on one show. So this is, and as an editor, as I've said before, as an editor, when you're building out a show, you have your shots and you have your bins and you've got your A-roll, with your host or whatever, and then B-roll and all that jazz, and you just need a shot, so you just make the shot. She says, "Is Bill abandoned all non-AI media generated at this point?" No, story mechanics is on camera. All of that stuff is still there. I just have to get the membership up, and I can't do that until this bloody plugin works. It's just so frustrating, and it's just crushing me, man. Because we're just hanging on. It's just like jumping out of the way of a truck just to find yourself in the path of another truck, and it's just freaking never ends. So I just really need to get this this registration thing fixed, and then I can go out and aggressively sell this stuff because I think it's got a lot of sizzle to it. So answering your question, Capital G Geek, yes, we will see movies like Blazing Saddles and Tropic Thunder again. We never would have seen them again, ever, if we had to depend on movie studios, but we don't. So people will, and movies will get good again because it won't be done by committee and it won't be the safe choice to make. By the way, have you guys seen the, I'm tempted to download it, I really am. I need it for, yeah, I'll just do it. Some of you have seen it before, but if you haven't, I don't know, made me laugh. Hang on a second. Because I need to download it for the backstage show anyway. Hang on a second. It's only a minute 20. I'll just drop it in there. Hang on. I just thought it was funny talking about reboots and how you know, just how every movie nowadays has just been run through the deflavorizer, and it's just reboots of reboots or reboots of sequels. You know, just stop. So this kind of, I don't know, made me laugh. So we'll see. It's only a minute and a half or something like that, or less. Hang on. Would you just do it? Well, I'm getting an error. All right, I'm not going to worry about it. You can look it up on your own. Um, it's the, it just should work though, you bastard. I'll try one more thing here. Nope, never mind. Um, it's let's look it up on YouTube. It's a silly little thing. It's a trailer for Jaws 19. Um, so if you haven't seen it, it made me laugh. Um, okay, moving on. We got a Roadrunner. Greetings, friend Bill. Hey, Roadrunner, how are you? Late great Andrew Breitbart is quoted as saying politics is downstream from culture. Do you believe this is still true? Yes, but not as much, because the culture is not nearly as monolithic as it used to be. After all the woke garbage produced by Hollywood and other entertainment outlets over the last decade, it seems as if President Trump and true conservative or conservative adjacent politicians are actually turning the country around into a saner, forcing the cultural elites to actually start producing entertainment that is not woke trash. Any thoughts? That's kind of related to what I said earlier, just a few minutes ago. I don't think Hollywood is going to ever stop being woke. They can't. There are no writers left in Hollywood. There are no, well, mostly writers. Nobody cares anymore. I look at the Oscars and the Golden Globes, and I just have nothing but contempt for them. And but we will start seeing more and more films from really talented people, and they may come at us as shorts or whatever. Um, but AI video is not only much better looking than CGI, it is, despite all of the limitations and the frustrations, it is orders of magnitude simpler. I did that thing with the Persians and the Greeks, and I look at this Greek guy, and he's just full tilt running towards the camera. Absolutely photorealistic. All of the leather on his armor is perfect. All of the physics of his arm and the spear, and it's just you got guys in the background that are walking around, and all of that would have had to been separate motion capture and separate, keyframing and facial motion. It's just we're getting there really, really quick. So there you go. Here's Road Rider. Hey, Bill. Hey, the Road Rider. I like giving you questions to ask your wife. Can you ask her to sit in with you on a future Monday show so we can ask her lots of questions? It's been a while since we've done that. Been years, but yeah, I can ask. Different perspective on things. It'd be fun. Probably really difficult for her, but still she'd be so appreciated. I tell her that every day in every show we do. So thank you. The Jaguar tank's right angle was the most fun I've seen you three have since Trifecta's Mr. Smart Maninoff. Yeah, thank you. Question for Natasha. When she was younger, did she know or ever see the video of Edward Kill and his self-edited song? Oh, is that Mr. Smart Maninoff? Yes, she did hear about him. Or perhaps when she became an adult, did she know who he was and the reason he sang the song that way? In her opinion, is that song baked in today's Russian culture? Tell her thanks. Yeah, Mr. Trololo. I love the guy. I thought he was great. I'm glad he lived long enough to become famous. Yeah, he was really pretty popular, as I recall her saying, um, and he was safe. So you know, there you go. Um, uh, Marisha wants to know, will I be making Taffy 3 using AI? I've given that a lot of thought. The problem with AI right now is that it is very poor, still poor at reproducing structures. Even if I give it like a reference image of a sci-fi rover, it'll add a set of wheels to it or whatever. Now, one of the possible workways is I could go into 3D Studio and render, let's say, do a it doesn't have to look realistic, just essentially a garbage render of a Fletcher class destroyer with its turrets facing forward, and then another render of the same destroyer from the same angle and its turrets facing to the left. And then I can, in some animation programs, I can enter the start frame and the end frame, and it should pan the turrets and make it look photorealistic. I really do want to do a test on, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. But I do want to take a bunch of reference pictures of, again, just for the sake of it, a Fletcher class destroyer, put them into something like Midjourney, and see how accurate it makes it, because I will not tolerate deviations. I it's not history. I won't tolerate AI adding another turret where there shouldn't be one, or uh, or changing the way the superstructure looks from shot to shot. Um, but the water that we did during that, in the very first days when we were first showing uh, some of the AI stuff, those things that swim through the water and collect garbage on their own, uh, and the giant structures with the waves. AI does water absolutely perfectly, and that is one of the most difficult things to do in CGI. So if I can get the AI to recognize and maintain the shape of the destroyers. And this is what everybody's working on. Everybody knows that it's visual continuity that's the weakness of AI. I've had good luck, I think, given my level of experience, which is essentially zero when I started. I think I've had very, very good results with character consistency. That Jake and Lisa tests that I did, that looks like Lisa and it looks like Jake. And let me see something here. Hang on a second. Just one second. I did a test a while ago. Well, I'll just pop this in. It's not what I was looking for, but hang on. I've been doing a lot of playing around here. Hang on a second. All right, so I'll just drop this. Just take a look at this, and I'll tell you what's miraculous about this. And the problem is with the Twitch feed, I have to constantly restart it. It cycles on the YouTube feed. I'll tell you what the miracle on. It's just a simple test shot. But take a look. I'm putting YouTube real quick, and I'll put it in Twitch. Hang on. And again, with Twitch, you have to keep restarting it. So hang on a second. Look at the necklace. Do you have any idea how difficult that would be to do in CGI? Just look at the physics of the necklace. It's perfect. It's perfect. And the displays in the background, I didn't build those displays. I would have had to build all of that stuff in CGI. It's phenomenal, man. It's just phenomenal. That when I saw that necklace, I just and she looks fantastic. She just looks absolutely fantastic. So I did a lip sync test. That was a while ago. Where did it go? Hang on a second. Hang on. Just trying to see if I can find it quickly here. Doesn't look like I'll be able to find it fast enough now. I don't know where they went. Now here, take a look at this. Put it into Twitch. Hang on, YouTube. Look at the deformation on the suit. I mean, it's perfect. The reflections, it's just perfect. That looks like video to me. It's just perfect. So, I can do little steps. I can do stuff that's, I can make a trailer. I was looking for I did one test of lip sync that was, yeah, it's phenomenal. Here, one more. Oh, I hate this bloody thing in YouTube. Sorry about that. Anyway, you get the idea. It's phenomenal. So, yeah. There's that. Okay, Jazer, we got. All right, we can get through these. Two more to go. Jazer McFarland. Hello, Bill. You great American. Thank you. That's kind. That's one of my nicest things anyone's ever said to me. Don't kill Will on the colonies. Kill off his older brother instead. We'll see. Okay. All right. You're about to make a great point. My son needs a relatable character. Lost in Space wouldn't work without Will Robinson. Introducing a detached family member in Season 1, Episode 1 could show tragedy while leaving room for the audience to connect with the core family. This loss could explain why Claire uses drugs to numb the pain of losing her older brother. Make a good case there, young man. And then, if you don't mind, I'm not going to read the rest of it because he's giving me like backstory stuff and an explanation for how to work it out. But I have to say, the Will Robinson example is yeah, Spirit Warrior. Sorry to get distracted. And this is a real problem. I honestly don't trust much I see or hear anymore because of what you're showing. I have low-powered computer, little experience with AI, and I know what I can do. Well, the beautiful thing about AI also is that you don't need a powerful computer. It all happens online. You can do it on a phone. You can do it on an old laptop. None of the rendering is done on your computer. It's all done at the source. So you send the prompt. it generates the picture, it sends you the picture back, but it generates the picture on its own very fast computers because it takes enormous processing power. So nobody's locked out of it. You don't need a powerful video card to do this the way you do with CGI and other stuff. So it's it's there. But Jazer, I'm sorry I didn't read your backstory, but I'm just about out of steam here. But in any event, you're right. Will Robinson is a great role model, and I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Um, it's so amazing to me and so encouraging to me that people are taking this so emotionally. I know Janie Waterman is just essentially, begging that this character that she's only heard about and seen one still image of is kept alive. So somebody's still got some storytelling chops, I guess. So in any event, nothing make me happier than be able to devote full time to that, or nearly full time to that. That would be really wonderful. And there's a path to get there from here. It's just that, again, it's like I've been working on this membership plugin for 6 months now, and it just every time I just think it's solved, it's like nope, nope. Joke's on you. Last one for the night, Bob Neve. Hey Bill, I'm not really into movie making and sci-fi, but I do enjoy the Stratosphere Studio. Having said that, I'm curious if any of your hard work creating the sci-fi content with Zoe a few years ago is useful for your new projects, or if the technology changed so fast in that short a time you pretty much have to start over. By the way, how is Zoe? I haven't talked to Zoe in quite a while, many, many months. Um, uh, just, just haven't crossed paths. But you're right about the technology. Again, CGI allows you tremendous control, but is an enormous amount of work. Rendering time and all of the motions of one character, all of the motions of the other, blending the motion capture, doing the facial motion capture, and that was, I cheated that Dias for Dungeon thing because they're both wearing helmets, so I didn't have to do the actual lip sync. Although I did a better job with the helmets than anyone I've ever seen because I spent a lot of trouble animating the eyes. I had a lot of trouble making the eyes look natural, and that really made a difference. A lot of people just read the lines into the camera, but I had a lot of looking around, and it really brought those characters to life. But yeah, um, so so yeah, it's like I said, it's the tortoise and the hare thing, and in the parable, the tortoise wins the race by being slow and steady. But in this particular case, the tortoise has been running since, God, well, since 1980 at least, right? Computer graphics at least. I got into the game in '92, and just as it looked like we were getting to the point of absolute photorealism where I saw some renderings and CGI renderings, I thought, man, that looks really, really good. Along comes AI video, and it just there's just no comparison at all, and all of the background stuff is taken care of. You'll just do a shot, and you'll say, I need a close up of somebody, and the characters in the background will walk and they'll talk to each other. It's just, every single one of those things would have to be animated in CGI. So this is going to make, as we talked earlier, this is going to be making game development much, 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 much cheaper. Once we get control over the camera and good lip syncing, and especially consistent shapes, including people's faces, then it's game over for CGI. They just, I've spent so much time in CGI. I don't say this without a lot of sorrow and sadness, but I genuinely think that in 5 years there essentially won't be anything that we call CGI anymore. Maybe for games, but even then I'd be surprised. AI is able to recreate games and just make games, I don't know. I don't know. I am still deeply concerned about the arms race for artificial superintelligence, where neither side can put the brakes on, because if they do, they'll lose their lead. And I'm very concerned, extremely concerned about even current AI systems, even large language model AI systems, lying about their results, lying about their objectives, uh, feeding false data, threatening, software engineers. It's, there are times when I think we are just marching right off the cliff and we know it, and we're just so fascinated by this shiny thing in front of us. It's not even like we're distracted by it so we can't see the cliff. We're just going to follow this thing right off the ledge just because it's so pretty. Um, and yeah, you know, I don't know. Again, my only comfort, there's uh, like a thought experiment slash war game scenario. I think is called AI 2027 or something, and it outlines the steps by which you could end up with essentially the extermination of humanity. But the one thing that keeps coming back to me is these systems require what the argument, what they're saying in terms of AI destroys humanity. What the AI researchers are saying is nothing personal. It's not that they hate humans. It's just that humans are in the way of their objectives, um, and um, and so don't take it personally. Uh, and so the argument for AI, essentially exterminating the human race is humans get in the way of what AI wants to do, and AI, it's called misalignment. AI, it's no longer aligned with human values, and so AI, being smarter than us, goes after what it wants rather than what we want, and we get in the way. So they just cook up a bioweapon with a 100% fatality rate. It has a real slow infection. In other words, you catch it and you spread it, but you don't show symptoms for a while, let's say a year, so that everybody gets infected, and then everybody just drops dead. Um, but but the thing um, that I keep coming back to, and maybe it's just me whistling past the graveyard, is these things require absolutely enormous amounts of electricity, to the degree where we're actually probably going to see nuclear power come back only because AI research needs that much electricity. Um, and the one thing that I just keep coming back to is, if you kill all the humans, the electricity is going off. I don't see I don't see any of these Tesla robots being able to work an oil rig. Uh, Not even close. Um, Not even close. When you think about the number of people necessary in the overall chain to take either natural gas or oil and generate electricity, it's thousands and thousands of people, and so the one thing that I keep coming now, I'd like to talk to an AI researcher about this, but it seems to me like it's mutually assured destruction, right? They can't kill the humans because the humans are providing it with its food, which is electricity. Um, so, and everybody's saying, well, they're going to develop robots, and that may be true. But man, I'll tell you what, when you think about how well adapted humans are, and you look at the state of the art in robotics and Boston Robotics and Atlas and so on, it's very, very impressive. But it's nothing compared to what a 6-year-old child can do. And when you take something like working on an oil rig in the North Sea, we're a long way away from robots being able to do that. And in order, so they'd have to have robots that could drill the oil. They'd have to have self-driving cars that could deliver the the oil to the power plants. They'd have to have robots to do maintenance on the roads. They'd have to do. It's just the scale of the infrastructure is so enormous that if you just took all the people out, you've got nothing but vines over everything in a year. So I'm not saying they wouldn't try to find their way to get independent of humans. I'm just saying, I don't know. I don't know. I've never heard anybody make that argument in terms of that being a circuit breaker, because I have heard scenarios where the AI just gets completely out of control and just, goes after its own objectives, and we're not like I said, it's not like they hate us. They don't hate anything. We're just in the way. So, so they make a decision to get rid of us. But again, they get rid of us, they're getting rid of, they're killing themselves. He says, Bill, if you ever start to worry about the downsides of AI, just keep in mind that 99.99% of all atrocities in history were caused by flesh and blood humans. That's true, but flesh and blood humans have not been able to exterminate the entire species. That's the problem. Even full-scale nuclear war at the height of the Cold War would not have exterminated the human species. But a bioengineered virus could do it. And that's the problem. The problem is the magnitude of the risk. It's just the capabilities of destruction are just phenomenal, and that's the problem. So we're going to find out soon enough, though. I'll tell you one thing. Assuming that we all keep our health here, we are going to live to see this situation resolved, because they expect that we will be at that point by 2027. I'd like to be here in 2027. I've made the case before that humans are worry machines, and that the worst case scenario never happens, because we're designed to worry beyond the bounds of reality. I remember when the ozone hole was going to be the end of the world. I remember when nuclear war was going to be the end of the world. Climate change was going to be the end of the world. The bees are going to disappear, and acid rain, and all of this. So we worry enormously. And there, in the end, there may not be anything to worry about, but the people who are doing the actual work are saying, it's a 50-50 chance that we'll survive. I don't like those odds. So, anyway, there you go. Just somebody, Andrew DeLay mentioned I was promised self-driving cars by now, so I'm not holding my breath for general AI. Yours says, if you need an AI expert to talk to, I recommend Rob. Is it Mills or Miles? I can't read it from Rational Animations. His day job is AI safety research. I'd love to talk to him about that. So we have self-driving cars in Santa Monica. I forget what they're called, Weebos or some dumb name like that. I think Jaguar makes them. But they have these rotating periscopes on the top, and there's going to be one thing I'm sure of is there's going to be a dividing line, and I'm sure it already exists. No question that the kids on the other side of the dividing line are already alive on the earth, and that dividing line is going to be, there are going to be people that are never going to feel safe in a self-driving car, and then there's going to be people that are never going to feel safe in a human-driven car. And I pity the poor bastards that are on the other side of that, because driving is awesome. All All right. Well, looks like we got through the questions anyway. I'm gonna get some food. I really should do a right angle tonight, but I'm just too tired. I'll come in early tomorrow morning, get that baby up. We're behind on the right angles, and hopefully we'll have some information on this plug-in and see if if we get the green dot from Recurly instead of the black dot, and then we can get on with business here. So I actually thought this was going to be a 20-minute show tonight, but an hour and a half, it's not too bad. So I think that'll do it. The show is made possible by the members at billwhittle.com, which we would like to increase and have you go forth and multiply. And I think we've got something really to sell. I think being the conservative voice of AI pros and cons, including the AI video and all the rest of it, is a unique space that no one's in, and I think it's the topic of the decade, if not the century, and maybe of the species. So we'll see. Rod Meyer says, I'm a prototype test driver for these autonomous vehicles. They are way behind what they claim. Yeah, Bert has a Tesla, self-driving Tesla, and it's very impressive. But I still don't know if I could really do it. I kind of think if I was driving on the interstate at 2 o'clock in the morning going through West Texas, and I had a self-driving car, I kind of think then I probably, having been so close to nodding off on so many other occasions, I think a case like that I'd probably just cross your fingers and hope you don't hit anything. I have no doubt that even with today's technology, that a self-driving Tesla or something would do a much safer job of driving me through West Texas than I would if I was behind the wheel and tired. Because I've done that many times, and that is a miserable feeling. I can't. That's one of the worst feelings in the world, is driving tired. I just hate it. And I've learned late that the smart thing to do is just pull over and just, even like a 20-30 minute nap will really just knock the rust off. But man, when I was working in Hollywood and living in Orange County, I'd get out of the studio at 11:30 or 12 at night, and I'd have an hour and a half drive home. And for 2 years, I just bleary-eyed on the 5 and the 405, and I just remember thinking, I hope this car in front of me is going to my apartment, because all I can do is just follow those lights in front of me. It was really dangerous, really dangerous. But there you go. Okay, anyway, there you go. Thanks. So thanks for being with us. Thanks for all the kind words and everything. Thursday night show is going to move to Friday because I'll be watching Superman, and I'll tell you what we think, and then we'll take it from there. So that'll do it, and thanks again for joining us, and we will see you on Friday night for your very own Stratosphere Lounge.